When shit hits the fan, happens to all of us, what do you do when you are James Lamblau or Mark Novak or in real estate? Stay tuned.
Mr. Novak, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. When shit hits the fan, I think the shit hit the fan this morning as well. So it happens every day to everyone. I think you can always safely say there's a moment or two in each day that things don't go to plan. Just in general in life, we were having a bit of a candid chat this morning just about how things are going, what's happening, how do you move one step forward, two steps back. There's no solution in general for this sort of thing. I think it happens to everyone on a daily basis, Mark. And it's how we react to these little blips that we have in our days or roadblocks that lead us on to a successful day, successful week, and a healthy mindset, I think.
Absolutely. And you were saying James was just talking about some stuff in his personal life. And I was relating back to when I was in my early 20s when, everything was just shit fest, and my dad was in hospital for heart surgery. My father-in-law was in for a triple bypass. My brother was airlifted out of an explosion, fireworks explosion. With hundreds of 100 breaks in his legs, and business, and me not being able to pay the mortgage, and I was relating back to you, James, and saying how back in those days in my early 20s, how the hell do you rip through when you rip through stuff when you're in the shit?
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, and it's like it immediately goes to show that every single person, whether it's personal or their work life, they have different things they encounter on a day-to-day basis or through the years that you go past. And, I use my example of my personal life, and then you talk about, you in your early 20s, big difference in weight of responsibility on your shoulders at the time. And I think you look at someone like yourself now in hindsight, and, those times probably, as hard as they were at the beginning, they would have made you stronger, and they would have built more resilience in you and the business and just your general mindset moving forward. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, we all have these things that we encounter. And I think the most important thing is not to loom on them and not to dwell. And it's like anything, you can move past anything that comes your way. Humans are quite an amazing species, but yeah, sometimes you have to take a step back and just think and reflect on what you're doing and where you're going, and how you are in your day to day. Gone a bit deep today, haven't we, Mark?
We've gone deep. I don't mind deep though. I don't mind it. And look, I think a lot of people, you look for answers, particularly when you are in the shit. You're like, well, how the hell do they do it, or what do they do to do with that sort of stuff? And even when you're doing 583 of these episodes, 6 days a week, how do you get up and put all that shit and goodness or whatever it may be on the day behind you and off you go, particularly the shit. And it's hard. And do you know what? It's probably a talent that successful people share or happy people share. Where people can, I think, you mentioned putting it behind you, grit your teeth. I know Luke, who's on the show every day, he pushes himself and does, I think he's done, 400 days or something of a 7-kilometre run without rain, hail or shine. I think that's sort of pretty interesting when you start seeing people doing mechanisms like that to keep themselves healthy and keep themselves going. Yeah.
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to themselves to, every day try a little bit harder, do a little bit more. And there are days and weeks where maybe that doesn't happen, and that's okay. But, even just as the example of 583 episodes of Morning Minutes, there are mornings where you will have woken up and Burge and myself and Billy and whoever else is doing it, and it might be just it's not a very good start to the day, or shit happened yesterday that I'm still not over. But it's an opportunity. Every day is a new day to springboard and change what you did last time. And I think Morning Minutes is actually a really good opportunity, just like for our mindset, just to forget about everything else for 15 minutes, and then you do, and then it's like, new day, fresh start, here we go, let's do it again.
Yep, I think so, and also find things that you love. Like I think that, and if you don't mind me talking, James, we were talking about our parents, and it's quite interesting that, like, with our challenges that we've had with family and stuff like that, and with business, you've sort of got. I was saying to James this morning, so we sort of had a bit of a D&M rather than having a brief on what we're talking about. And I was saying that, like, it's hard because you think it's really good to share your pain with people, because those people can help you or go through solutions on what's bad at that time. But I was saying to James that most people actually don't care. So to walk in as a real estate agent, to walk into a listing presentation, or to walk in, pitching for business, or to try to sell a house to someone, to walk in to be honest with them, liberal, and share your pain with them, they really don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? It actually, to walk in, when someone says, how are you? Go, actually, I'm really bad today. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this person's going to dump on me. Here we go again. It's why? Well, it's my wife, or it's, this happened, or that's, oh, no, I'm so sorry to hear. Now, that may be a coping mechanism, but if you start doing that through your whole day and through every day, and what I was saying with James this morning, everyone, was when it was just that shit fest when I started the business, when my brother was in airlifted in the hospital, when my dad was having it, it was all within a really confined period of literally 6 months. And at that same time, Lisa and I decided to get married and had no money for a honeymoon. It was like our wedding. It was like, man, talk about, like, what else can like go wrong? Like, at the time it was, but fortunately we had healthy family. We were healthy ourselves, mentally and physically. So it was really just focusing on the stuff that was working and stuff that was good. And also, I think there was an onus there for us to keep the wheels turning, because other members of the family were not. So, because the father-in-law was pretty much retired, or getting towards that part of the business. My dad was retired. My brother wasn't going to be working for a long time. So you sort of feel that. My sister as well wasn't working. So, and I think at that time, no, she was already divorced. But I think there's that responsibility where you got to do it for your immediate family and forge forward.
Yeah, and I think again, love of the dump. Lots of conversations are a lifeline call. Yeah, look, I think if you don't also just get these things out from time to time, you don't have to go into extreme depth with people, but just to have a quick chat about things is often gets something off your shoulders. But like you said, in our job, we're meeting people all the time. Our job isn't to bring our problems to their table. Our job is to fix their problems under their roof. So if you come in with your own baggage like that, you're just another person with another story that unfortunately they're not interested in. You've got a job to do. And yeah, it's funny when people bring themselves, their personal life into the business world, and yeah, it doesn't go down very well. So yeah, every day you do have to put on a bit of a show, but it doesn't mean you're being fake or non-transparent or anything.
Yeah, and you know what? People want good news. People want good news. As much as you're keen to sort of share, how shit the property market may be at the time, or how hard it is going to be to sell their house. People, it's a bit like a church. I think one of the church's biggest commodities is hope. I've got to watch what I'm saying. But it's hope, and if you can sell hope, you know, you generally do pretty good. No matter what business you're in, and people will consume it. They'll buy it. They'll pay you for it. Whether they're selling their property or getting a home loan through you, they feel uplifted. Do you know what I mean? To have a dealing with you because you lift them. Lisa Novak, the secret to success: work hard, be good humans, and the show must go on. Yeah, Lisa doesn't miss a beat. She's a pretty consistent gal.
Yeah, and again, it's impressive to watch around you. You're lifted up by your colleagues around you, and to see people that are on the straight and narrow in everything, whether it's business or personal life. It's good. You need to have this environment around you to succeed as well. So there's a part of it allowing yourself to flourish under the pressure. What's the phrase, Mark? Diamonds are created under pressure. And yeah, I think everyone goes through things from time to time. So anyway, today wasn't meant to be a deep one. It was just one of those ones where it was just what's happening in life. How are we? And I think sometimes it's good to just have a little chat about that sort of stuff.
It's good, and it's a really interesting balance about, because often, you know, we got 40, 50 people in the office, and often you can pick someone. You know, you can see it's a shit fest and they won't want to share it. And you're like, fuck, like they're either psycho or something's going on. And I think that it's, you know, you do have to, you do have to sometimes share that load or share that information to get people to give you their learnings and how they dealt with stuff that happened in their life, that, you know, when the going got tough. But at the same time, you don't want to be that dumper all the time, just talking shit about how bad everything is. And then you're like, oh, man, it's always bad when I talk to you. Like, I don't feel good after I talk to you. So
yeah,
it's his fine line, you know, that. Look, cheesiness shits me as well. You know, when someone's really, you know, like, hey, let's go, and you're like, no, fuck off. You know, I think it's the consistency. I reckon if you can float between a 7.5 and an 8.5, you know, and I don't. What do you reckon? Where do I float? You reckon?
So from what I see, and this is probably my opinion or perspective, you're the type of person, you're very positive all the way through. You you love your job, you're passionate about what you do, so that shines through all the time. There are times where there's a lot going on in the business where, you know, you do have to just keep your head down and do what you're doing. But no, for the most part, it's like I said it before, when you're around people that are being consistent, doing the same thing, same routines, in and out, morning minutes, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, you have a consistent attitude, which you sort of been showing me from day one with you. So yeah, like everyone, you have 99% really, really good, 1% maybe where you're in your own lane because there are things happening that are outside of your power. But that's what I'd sort of say. What do you think?
I reckon you float between a 7.5 to a 9.
In terms of mood?
Yeah, July, in terms of like...
For the most part, again,
you're pretty high achiever, pretty consistent. But I do notice that the people that I deal with that sort of get the most out of life are floating at 7.5 to 9. Are positive people. It's not always positive. You know, I do reckon as I get older, the highs get higher and the lows get lower. Yeah. So the highs are harder to manage and the lows are harder to manage. It's really interesting. So, you know, just when you think you've gotten low, you get smashed, but you get smashed between the eyeballs and you're lower. And just when you think you got higher, you just get that next, you know, it just goes higher again, and you're like, how good is life? So it's really interesting. It's the highs get high and the lows get lower, I reckon, as you get older.
It's like it's like what Anthony just has said here: be a glass half full person rather than a glass half empty, and people will follow. Your energy is contagious at the end of the day.
Well said.
Yeah, it's the perfect example or analogy for this conversation, because we can't bring the negativity into it, even if it's there. Lastly, Mark,
do you know what? Do you know what the best advice? One of the best pieces of advice I ever received, which was actually from a real estate agent called James Murray from Marvey. He said to me, Mark, my friend, this guy's probably a gift of the gab, one of the best talkers I've ever met. And he goes, Mark, my friend, he goes, buddy, all you got to worry about is the 1%. And I was like, and he goes, do you know what I mean? And I go, be 100%, don't be 99%. He goes, no, buddy. He goes, no, sorry, hang on, it was 2%. It was 2%. He goes, no, buddy. He goes, I'm talking 49.51. I'm talking 49.51. It's always a shit fest out there. And he said, if you are 49%, just focus on the 2%. Don't focus on the, going up 51%. Just stay on the right side of it, 51%. Just focus on the 2%. And that really rings true with me often, where I'm thinking it's never going to be 100%. It just isn't, and it's never going to be 90%. But if you're just on that right side of 50%, if you're 51% good, life's good. If you fall below, just focus on that 1 or 2% to knock you back over. I thought that was cool advice.
Yep. Well, that's right, and you're not taking it to its entirety. You can have a little bit of control over those couple of percent, but maybe not the full thing. So, no, 100%. Lisa saying having a great wife is key. How much do you think, Mark, that has worked in your favor of your career?
She's not that good. No, just joking. I reckon, look, life, I think there's a bit of luck. Look, in anything we spoke about in the last 15 minutes, there's luck involved. I get it. But that part I can't change. The hard work I can. And I just know that in marriage and in kids and in business, there's just been a terrific amount of hard work. And I think to address it serious, to address what you asked, I think that, in your marriage, you got to put in that work. And I think that if you ever take out more than you put in anything, you're absolutely screwed. So I think you just got to consistently, whether it be exercise or whether it be food or whether it be work or whether it be relationships and kids and stuff, I think you just got to make sure you're putting back in, and if you're not, you got to do it.
Yep. Well said. Thanks, Mark. That's a wrap.
Hope you find a nice wife, James.
Me too. If anyone's out there listening.
Here's your boy. Here's your boy. See you, legend. Bye, everyone. Hope this helped. Stay positive.